what is warranting you to be going to jail, your driving behavior, your performance on the steering field.
My name is Jefferson Simmons, and I'm a partner at Long Simmons Law, and I'm a DUI attorney here in the Phoenix area. Today we're going to go over the body camera released by the Scottsdale Police Department in the Dillon Brooks DUI arrest. It's very important to understand when you're going through the body camera, although it says the full unedited version, there are parts of it that have been redacted, there are parts that have been removed. At the very beginning of the body camera, there's about 30 seconds in silence. That's pretty common when we see body cameras. In our cases, the officer starts recording and it goes back in time 30 seconds to capture what happened prior to that.
Hello.
How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm Officer Livingston, Scottsdale Police Department. You have valid driver's license, proof of insurance.
Yeah, can I ask you why I'm getting pulled over?
Why you're being pulled over is you failed to stop, you failed to maintain your lane 6 different times as we traveled north on Scottsdale Road from Mountain View.
Mr. Brooks asks why he's being pulled over, and the officer stumbles through an explanation. Initially says you failed to stop, then changes it to failed to maintain his lane on multiple occasions. The officer claims up to 6 different occasions that he moved outside of his lane during travel.
And that's a stop?
Yeah.
And traffic?
Yep.
Fine?
What was that?
The traffic fine?
Traffic fine? Yeah, it could result in a citation. Absolutely.
I was following the person in front of me.
Okay. Were you following them home? Were they with you, or?
No, just I could see you tailing me from all the way from Scottsdale and Camelback.
Scottsdale I was following multiple different cars.
Okay.
I didn't get back up to you until until Doubletree.
Sorry. You stopped over to the left.
Correct.
To make a left turn and said you came and followed me again.
All right. Do you have proof of insurance, Mr. Brooks?
No, I don't.
It's rather interesting in the body camera. The officer admits to losing sight of Mr. Brooks' vehicle from some portion of time. Mr. Brooks asks, were you following me around Camelback? It's hard to hear exactly what he's saying because he's still in his car. The officer doesn't give a very specific answer to his question. He indicates he's following multiple other vehicles, which is odd in a traffic stop for one particular vehicle.
When was the last time you smoked marijuana?
It's been a while.
Do you have marijuana in the car?
In Arizona, smoking marijuana and driving a motor vehicle is not against the law. Being impaired by the marijuana that was consumed can be against the law. It's an important distinction to have. Similar to alcohol, the main difference between alcohol and drug is that there's a threshold limit for alcohol. Everybody knows that the legal limit's a 0.08. Not everybody knows that in Arizona you can be charged with a DUI if you're below a 0.08 if the officer thinks you are impaired to the slightest degree by that alcohol number. Unfortunately, here in Arizona, we make laws and don't understand some of the collateral consequences that can occur from them. Meaning, we make marijuana legal, but we don't have any type of threshold limit to consume marijuana and drive. There's no nanogram level like there is in other states. Some states have adopted a 5 nanogram level to charge a DUI. Now, I have issues with that number because I don't think any specific number correlates to impairment. It's very specific to the person's size, weight, consumption history, and familiarity with that particular drug. But at least some states have a threshold. Here in Arizona, if you have any active THC in your system, the state, the government, can charge you with a DUI.
It smells quite heavily of the presence of marijuana. That's why I'm asking.
The officer makes a comment about it smelling very heavily of marijuana. And again, that could be for a variety of factors. That could be other people that were in his vehicle that may have consumed marijuana. That could be because the officer is smelling it from some other location. An odor of marijuana, just like an odor of alcohol, is not against the law. The officer jumps to conclusions and tries to work backwards to support that initial perception.
How much alcohol have you used tonight?
No.
When was the last time you ever drank?
Probably 6 months.
Okay.
Many athletes in these situations are trained not to answer questions, to call an attorney. Mr. Brooks answers openly, candidly, tells him he's not consumed alcohol in about 6 months, and tells him he hasn't consumed marijuana either. The officer is not accepting those statements, and again is working backwards to support the initial smell of marijuana that he believed was coming from inside the vehicle.
What I want to do is make sure you're okay to drive. All right? So I'm going to have you take a step out for me, okay?
Because of 6.
Failed to maintain your lane to 6 different times, yeah?
All right.
And then to be honest with you, it smells like a dispensary in your car. All right. So why are you lying about how much marijuana you've consumed in the last 6 months? You've definitely consumed marijuana tonight.
No, I didn't. You're telling me I did. I told you I did. It's
Okay.
the third time you asked me.
All right. But stand just like you are. Place your hands behind your back.
Oh.
You're going to be placed under arrest tonight for the suspicion of driving under the influence. What's wrong with your hand?
Law enforcement loves to say the totality of the circumstances. Mr. Brooks asked why he's being placed under arrest, and that's the answer that you just heard from law enforcement. What does that even mean in this particular case? There's very little evidence to support the fact that marijuana was consumed. He's trying to support the initial conclusion based off the perception that there is a smell of marijuana.
I will be asking for 2 samples of blood. There'll be consequences for...
2 samples of blood.
Correct.
Why am I doing 2 samples of blood?
I'll be requesting...
Can I have a call, please?
Absolutely.
Can I call somebody, please?
Yeah, once we arrive at the jail.
What did I blow?
You blew zeros, which I anticipated.
What is warranting right now to be going to jail?
What is warranting you to be going to
Yes,
jail?
yes.
Your driving behavior, your performance on the steering field.
Driving behavior. I'm driving behind somebody.
One thing that is consistent throughout the entirety of the body camera is that Mr. Brooks is answering the questions as they're asked, doesn't appear to be slurring any words, responsive to the questions, doesn't show any cognitive signs of impairment, doesn't show any outward physical signs of impairment. When someone is impaired by drugs or alcohol, there is a typical progression that occurs. Initially starting with cognitive issues, not being able to understand questions, not responsive to the questions that are being asked. Then it goes to fine motor skills, getting a driver's license, presenting registration. And then it goes to gross motor skills, getting out of the vehicle, being able to perform field sobriety tests. And again, consistently throughout this body camera, there's very little to no evidence of those physical impairments or the cognitive impairment as to Mr. Brooks.
Why can I call right now to know where exactly you come right when I get there?
Because you're not entitled to meet anyone inside our jail.
I'm not meeting anybody inside. You can stand outside.
Okay.
While he talks to you guys.
I don't need to talk to anyone else. There's no one else I need to talk to besides you. Alright, anything else on you? Shoes, socks, underwear. You bring anything? Do you have anything in your shoes, socks, or underwear?
I have it all on me. I'm wearing it.
Okay, so
From the body camera that was released to the public, the officer keeps mentioning DRE.
drug recognition expert. Okay, I've deemed you to not have the ability to operate a motor vehicle safely. And that's based on the totality of the circumstances from me observing your driving behavior and me talking to you.
And that's a drug recognition expert. And officers receive some training on that, but are far from any type of expert in determining drug impairment. And specifically in this case, the officer does not even do a full DRE evaluation, does not ask Mr. Brooks if he would consent to one, and does not perform the aspects of the drug recognition that are required to make a determination on impairment.
So, sir,
Yes, sir.
I have to wait here while you guys look through my whole car.
We're just doing an inventory right now to make sure there's no high valuable items in there, because it's going to get towed, and you'll get a copy.
What's the procedure for all this?
So,
I go to jail and then I stay the night. What's the procedure?
no, you don't have to spend the night. So you'll go to, he's going to read you some paperwork. You're going to go down to the jail, do some tests. It's like a 2-hour process.
What's the test? I'm not doing blood tests like this. That's not a thing.
Well, he's going to read you the paperwork. We can't convince you one way or another. Like, you have the opportunity to say no, essentially.
Police officers have to obtain a warrant to get your blood if you do not give consent to obtaining that blood. And that's what happened here in Mr. Brooks' case. We don't have the complete picture. He's given time to speak to an attorney or a representative or making a call. And we're not sure, based off the body camera, what happened in that particular case. But the officer went and got a search warrant prior to giving him time to make that call and issued the search warrant on him. Again, in Arizona, that has a significant consequence. If you fail to consent to the blood or breath or any combination thereof, you can have your license suspended for a year. That's called the implied consent law in Arizona.
Is there gonna be footage of me like moving in and out of the lane 6 times?
I don't know if
How is that?
the camera, if there's cameras there or not. I'm not sure.
There's no cameras on the car.
There's no cameras on this car now.
Some on some cars, or there's not.
There's not on our patrol vehicles.
So,
at least the ones we drive. I don't
so
think.
it's based off of what he said.
He said, and then there's street cameras too.
Mr. Brooks asks about the video evidence of him driving outside the lane. The officer claims it was 6 times or more, but there is no video evidence in this. Again, a common misperception here in Arizona is that there's dash cam on police officers' vehicles. And while there are in some situations, it's very underutilized or not used at all.
The gentleman over here
Yeah.
says he's manager.
Yeah.
Can
Can he drive the car?
No. Can I tell him what's going on because he wants to know what's going on, or do you want to keep it?
Yeah, you can tell him that you guys served me a DUI on nothing.
Okay.
Off a smell. I'm literally in a car with you, watching you drive, and you're doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, which everybody does, because everybody's either doing something in their car. You have one hand on the wheel. It's supposed to be 2.
Mr. Brooks lives up to his reputation of an elite trash talker when he points out to the officer that he just left the lane 5 times on the way back to the facility. He highlights the hypocrisy of this particular driving behavior and then asks him further that he's not impaired, is he? And that there can be other reasons why people leave the lane if he in fact did leave the lane. And that's very common. Interestingly, the same behavior the officer just stopped Mr. Brooks for, he apparently is engaging in and does not deny that when Mr. Brooks brings it to his attention.
Based off my training and experience, yes, my opinion means more than yours. Well, luckily everything was captured on body camera, so.
What about the driving? Was that caught on camera too?
No, the driving is not. We don't have that.
Like, how does your even opinion make sense?
Well, it's the opinion afforded to me by the state because I've been sworn as a police officer. If it's found that I've been lying about that, then I can be found.
What's her name, sir?
My name is Officer Livingston.
Mr. Brooks continues to ask the officer questions about why he was arrested, what information led up to him being arrested, and that the officer makes a mention about everything being recorded on the body camera. The officer then makes a very interesting statement, and he says, if I'm found to be lying about that, I can be found to be, and then he trails off and doesn't finish the statement because he knows in Arizona it's very unlikely he will face any repercussions for wrongful arrest, especially if the blood results come back and Mr. Brooks is telling the truth and he does not have any marijuana or active THC in his system. Drug testing in Arizona does take some time, and typically a full panel or a marijuana drug screen will take 4 to 6 months to get the blood results back. If there is no active THC in his system, the Scottsdale Police Department is going to have an issue on their hands. It will show that their training and officer experience is lacking, and that there should be more evidence gathered prior to making an arrest in a particular case like this. Whether it be Mr. Brooks or an average citizen, that more evidence needs to be gathered in marijuana-only cases to determine impairment. In this particular case, they are simply going off the smell of marijuana, and that's a dangerous position to be for law enforcement. To be arresting citizens without proof of impairment based off flawed roadside field sobriety tests is not where we should be. That's not the DUI type of enforcement we should have in Arizona. Subjecting citizens of Arizona to arrest from poorly trained, incompletely investigated marijuana DUI cases.